Mauro. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you, and you, Johnny. Thanks so much.
Excellent.
Ciao, Pietro.
Great to see you. Ciao, Mauro. Good to have you. And it's nice, Mauro, to enjoy some quiet after we finally launched this limited edition last week, as it took a long time to conceive, to find the right balance of colors we had in mind, the right balance of the overall look that we want to give to this limited edition. So I hope you enjoyed the journey as much as we did, Mauro, and it's very good to have you live today with us.
Thank you so much, Pietro. Thank you. Yes, it took a long time, clearly, because when we are talking about that kind of new colors, new mix, it's always difficult, and it's clear that the limited edition, the team, you are exigent, and the first shot is not always a good one, So, but it's really interesting. It's on my side. It's really interesting to share the taste, to share that kind of mix of color, and I find absolutely sublime the mix between the dark gray and the terracotta color.
Absolutely. We didn't just want to do another salmon, because salmon seems to be the color, the popular color this last year, and. When we conceived over a year ago this idea for a terracotta color, we said let's try to stay away a little bit from the salmon, which has become really a kind of too exploited in a way. And at the limited edition, we always try to do things differently. So thank you for working on a color, Mauro. I will explain later on that actually changes depending on the light. So we see here in the artificial light, and it's that terracotta that we all have in mind. But then if you go outside in the natural light, it looks much more as a salmon, more of a pale version of the terracotta. But this is what, Johnny, this is what terracotta does, no? As you explained really clearly in the press release, terracotta actually changes the color depending on the ambient light.
Absolutely. Terracotta to me is it's a much more Mediterranean kind of connotation, which I think it really suits yourself, Pietro, and Mauro, and so I love the idea of terracotta. I think it's a nicer word, and it conjures up for me thoughts of holidays in France or in Spain or places like that for good times, and and yeah, you're right. Salmon is a little bit cliched now, so everyone has done a salmon dial. So where the differences are very, very minor, it's still, I think, it creates an identity as well, because if you go for a salmon dial watch, you get hundreds of options if you search for that. You go for a terracotta watch, you're only going to get 2 or 3 or 4 companies who've used that name. So to me, it's it's very, very fitting for the whole image of what Schwarz Etienne, the limited edition, and a great collaboration.
And in the quote, Mauro, in the quote that you obviously made us, you shared with us on the press release, you have mentioned how of a good experience it's been for you to collaborate with Garrick, and especially when you're looking at the details of both the dial and the decoration of the Schwarz Etienne in-house movement. How far back are we going, Mauro? When did you sit with Garrick and decided to conceive the Roma Synergy in general as a collection, and how can you tell us a little bit how the process was?
Yes, of course. So I was not born when we met with Garrick the first time, No, it's really, I think it's 4 years ago. We started to think about a potential collaboration. I told to Garrick, it was in London during the the show, the fair we had in end of October, November.
The Watchmakers Club. The Watchmakers Club.
No, it was not the Watchmaker. It was I don't remember the name. It's the other fair, you know.
Maybe Salon Cupid.
Salon Cupid, exactly.
Salon
It was
Cupid.
during the Salon Cupid. So we were a neighbor during the fair. So I already met Claret 6-8 months before, and so we became quite directly friends, you know, because we share, I think, in life the same values. At that time, so we were really creative on Schwarz Etienne because we already did the launch of Roswell, which is some of iconic pieces, you know, with that kind of shape. And a classical touch was missing to me, you know. And I asked Carrie, okay, Carrie, it was during a dinner after 2 bottles of wine, it was around midnight. And I told him, Carrie, I need your help on being a bit more classical on the Roma family, because this is clearly the aim of that family, you know, of products. I told him, okay, you don't have to answer now. I'll let you 2 weeks and I'll call you back within 2 weeks. So 2 weeks later, I called him.
And at that time, Carrie was already making some of the dials for some of your other collections, or not yet?
Not yet. Okay. Now we are developing the collaboration clearly. Yeah. Okay, so he told me yes. I think it could be a beautiful trip, a beautiful journey we can have together. And so we just decided to share the design. So first of all, Carrie did his design proposal. Then we exchange on that design. So I had to change some few things, you know, on the dial part. And afterwards, he told me, okay, now I think it's your turn to choose the right guilloche pattern, you know. So I choose the side and the center. And after I had it out on the small second. And so we decided to use this fish scale for the small second together.
Écaille de poisson, because sometimes the names for guilloche patterns are quite revelatory in a way and self-explanatory, shall we say, Johnny. In one single dial, we have Soleil pattern, we have Écaille de poisson, and of course we have the vague, which is a French for wave pattern as well. Johnny, how much of a jewel in the jewel is this dial developed in collaboration with Carrie?
I think it's very significant. For a start, it's very, very beautiful, right? And I think when I say it's significant, I mean that in a way that it connects collectors with Carrie Vaudeline and get as well as getting the Schwarz Etienne name and the technology and the innovation, because Schwarz Etienne are very, very progressive with their micro rotor self-winding movements, etc., which that has been fitted with. They were doing these things before they were other brands picked up and said, oh look, we've got a micro rotor. Schwarz Etienne are going, yeah, we've been doing that for years. So it connects people with the dial is absolutely stunning. And I do have a question that I'm going to come back to in a little while. Yeah, if you can move the watch about a little bit, Pietro, just so as it catches, people can see the detail on the dial, because it's absolutely beautiful. You have the vague wave pattern around on the anthracite, the grey outer, the peripheral ring there, the chapter ring. Inside you have the Soleil pattern on the central panel, and then, as you say, small seconds, the Écaille de Poisson. And the three complement each other and contrast, playing with the light. I absolutely love it. It is a wonderful piece. And it does bring me to that question, Mauro. I believe we're approaching the end of the Roma Synergy line. And I wonder, is that true? Will there be any more after this, or?
So it's clear that due to the success of this product and to the fact that we did open, because the first edition were 2 limited edition of 50 pieces, but we were already ready to make one-of-a-kind pieces or really small edition. And we did open the orders to our partners for 6 months. And then it's clear we had a huge success. So I can tell you that now it's since May this year that we did stop completely to take orders. But because of the inertia on our business, clearly on our not on our manufacturer, because we do assembly, we produce components also, but also because of the situation on the watch industry right now, because all the suppliers are really full. The last delivery, I think, will be done until May next year, so within 7 months. It's a question of capacity also, you know, because we are talking about Kari Voutilainen shop floor. You know, they have rose gold engine machines, so guilloche machines. They have several ones, but it's impossible to do the same pattern of guilloche on 2 different machines. So we are obliged to use always the same machine. So even if you have the people and the machine, the capacity is that one, not more. And the fact is also on the movement is using the same machine. So this gives us lead time which are really longer than what it could be if you can triple the capacity. But we are talking also about craftsmanship. So we are not talking about industrial things. And I think that all our clients understand that it takes time to have something of this beauty to be produced. One other thing I think it's really interesting on the dial is so huge thanks to Comblamin who is a dial producer belonging to Claret. When you know, on each color we are developing, the time, for example, for the terracotta color, we took one entire morning to the guy who did the mix between the transparent lacquer and the terracotta color to get the right one. And afterwards, the process is simple. So they send us the dismantled die just to check the color. We share it with our supplier. And if it's not good, again, one other morning to spend time to make the mix and match of all the pigments and the transparent lacquer. Even if the underneath, it's underneath the dial, it's always not tinted, but
yeah, we really wanted a color that was unique, you know, in that perspective. Then of course the name terracotta came as after we saw what the color was telling us. But yeah, we didn't want a salmon. We wanted to go down that route of something similar to salmon. And then the result, Mauro, as you were explaining, was something much warmer than just a salmon.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And this is not galvanization. It was a word I was looking for before. Galvanization can be simple. It's really hard. It's a really difficult process because you can have rust if the galvanization is not well done, you know.
Of course.
And it's a mix between galvanization and after finding the right color, mixing the what I told before.
Yeah.
So it's a huge work to get to that level of perfection.
And the movement, of course, we have mentioned the decoration on the movement, but let's talk about the movement itself first, which is obviously the ASC 200, which is the 3 Hertz, 86 hours power reserve micro rotor, famous because it's obviously famously relatable to Schwarz Etienne. Already a movement that has been proven as, fully in-house by Schwarz Etienne, has been proven as a great machine, a great reliability. great quality. I love the 3 hertz. Johnny will talk about that. 3 hertz gives a steadiness, gives that strength to the energy supply that actually has an impact at the end on the accuracy of the watch. But how does it work, Mauro? Once the ASC 200 is ready, you send the movements to les ateliers Carivutilainen for the application of the decorations that we can see here that include frosting, perlage, snailing, sunray guillochage, etc., etc. Is that how it works?
No, sadly not. It could be, if it could be as simple, it should have been perfect, but no. So we are talking, we are starting with rough components, rough bridges, you know, which have been machined, turned, and with all the holes and so on. After that, we soften the surface outside house also to eliminate the machining traces. Then we ship the 3 bridges to Carry Atelier, and then they start to make the angling. So the anglage, it's a pre-anglage done by hand. Afterwards, they do the guilloche, the pattern. After they finish the anglage, really, because you know when you go through the material with the guilloche machine, you have part of metal coming out, so you have to rework on the anglage, again done by hand. And afterwards, after that, we go at Comblamin to make the galvanization on the movements, the rudder treatment on the components. Then the components are back to Schwarz Etienne, and we start the assembly, putting the stones, what we call T0, after assembling the movement, the T1, and finally the T2 for the watch assembly.
We sometimes have still this question, Johnny, if watchmaking is art, and if a collaboration such as, a more of an industrial watchmaker such as Schwarz Etienne and an absolute artist of the art of watchmaking come together, if this can be called art. Johnny, the work that has been carried out here on the dial, on the movement itself, is nothing short that's something to remember. What's your viewpoint on this?
Impossible to disagree, Pietro. It's I just think there's so many different techniques involved and different skills involved. Even going back a moment or two there to hearing about the Rose engine machines that affect the guilloche on the dials, that each machine has its own kind of fingerprint, if you like. That you need to do a series of watches like the 20 pieces. Badouin, you asked earlier on how many pieces there were. 22 batches of 10, which I think are coming out January 23 and summer 23, I think. But I diverge. I think when you're talking about the techniques and the skills and the crafts to create these pieces, it blows me away. It really does. It gets me.
It feels a bit like it's a bit like the school of watchmaking in a piece, in a way, because it encompasses the engineering perspective of years for Schwarz Etienne to work out a reliable and very beautiful micro rotor in-house movement, and all the skills required to give this movement the right character given by the incredible decoration. So if there is a piece that can be taken to explain a lot of the techniques in watchmaking, it's probably this one. That's how I feel it. Mauro, how strategic is the collaboration with Carivutilainen for the future, and what's going to happen after the Roma Synergy?
So this collaboration has been absolutely great for us in terms of visibility, because as you told before, we were a little bit under the radars. We did the relaunch of Schwarz Etienne since 2016, coming with a new strategy of only in-house movements, so manufacturer movements. We did develop 3 new families of products, a new range with La Chaux-de-Fonds tourbillon, with a small retrograde second tourbillon or flying tourbillon, with Roswell. Again, I told before about this iconic shape of the case with the inverted movement inside, where you can see the micro rotor and the balance wheel on the top, so you can see your watch living. And it's also a way for us to de-dramatize the complication. It's also a touch of Schwarz Etienne where we show on the top how it works, and on everyone's eyes. And finally, with the Fiji, so a female watch designed by a female for a female, but again with the manufacturer movement. So this was the start. Again, everyone knows that it's really hard. We have a huge amount of brands, and also new brands coming that we help on the other side to come out. But okay, it's a jungle. It's a jungle. So to come out of the jungle, even if you have a beautiful quality, even if you have stunning product, if you have a qualitative movements, it's really difficult. Compared to groups, personally, I came from Richemont and then LVMH, so I know what they put in terms of marketing on the market, and we can compete with that. So for us, what I love in that story, it's first of all, it has been a friendship story. It's not a business-wise, absolutely not. I need help. Carrie said yes, so it was just beautiful. And even if the success was not that one, I will redo the same thing, just for the experience. So this is the first thing. So afterwards, the results, clearly, it's now we are out of the water. We are not touching the star, but we are in between, okay, the ocean and the moon. So for us, it's clearly huge, again, in terms of visibility, in terms of business-wise also. Now our future, it's clear that we will launch two new, not models, but extension of the model, one end of this year on Roswell. One other on Roma, again, because we reduce the size to 42 to 39 millimeters to be also more trendy with Garrick. And finally, end of next year, we'll have the start of the new collaboration. But I'm not keen to give you the name. Clearly, it will be on Roswell. You will have the surprise. It's not a teasing, but it's something great. It's something really great. We reduce the size of the Roswell also, starting from 45 to 40 millimeters. And we will work also on movement, but so it won't be a question of decoration, but it will be something mechanical. It will be a small complication that we will rework, and nobody had that kind of idea to show what we will show. So this will be, I cross the finger for end of next year. But each time you touch a movement, it takes a huge time to get finally the right product with the right accuracy. And so what we need on the movement, it's also to be reliable. So we won't launch anything if we are absolutely not sure that it's reliable. And again, with the issue we have on lead times now, on all the components you order, it will take time. Absolutely. So my wish was to come with this novelty for Watches and Wonder next year, but we have to be realistic.
Yeah.
Maybe Ireland.
So it's
maybe Ireland tomorrow.
So thank you.
Yeah, Ireland could be a good option, to showcase it as it comes. It should come now next year in September, no? The Festival of Time, Johnny.
Absolutely. We
I
suddenly
think we're looking at
last
late
year.
September. I haven't really formally announced it yet because I have to make sure that all of our watchmakers and all of our exhibitors have a roof over their head for the duration of the weekend. But yeah, late September 2023, a new slot, moving it away from the May, which was just, it was back right up with the Finland watch show, so which was on one weekend, and Armin was just a few days later. So we found a little window in between Geneva, the Geneva Watch Days, and in between Watch Pro and SIR and of course the GPHG Awards. So it is a busy time of year, but so it would be yeah. So this is the first I've mentioned this because I've been treating this with
we so much look forward to that.
We'll talk about it another day,
yeah,
but Mauro, I would be thrilled and delighted if Schwarz Etienne were with us in Waterford and Ireland next year.
And Johnny, prepare the salty single malt, please.
You got it, my man.
Fantastic, fantastic. So just to recap, and thank you for those that have been watching these so far. I can't believe half an hour is already gone. We are live with Mauro Egermini from Schwarz Etienne on the week after the big launch of the terracotta version of the Roma Synergy by Schwarz Etienne and Kari Voutilainen. Just a couple of information, whilst I'm also telling you that you are allowed to put your questions down here in case you want to ask something directly to Mauro. Mauro, of course, represents one of those watchmakers that are actually completely 100% in-house integrated. So they master all the processes of the making of a movement of a watch in general. So it's one of those special people that knows everything, you know, from the technical, aesthetical perspective, anything can be asked. So feel free. And by the time I give you some time to reflect, I can tell you that the launch was a good success, and we are very proud to say that nearly the first batch, which is planned to be delivered, first batch of the terracotta planned to be delivered in January 2023, is nearly pre-sold. So it is live on the website. You will see that you can actually reserve a piece just by transferring a deposit. And that deposit will give you the right to have a slot in the allocation in the first batch 2023 or in the summer, as Johnny mentioned just a moment ago. And Mauro, as we go into phasing out the Roma Synergy in the future, already we can see for the blue and the gray edition, if you go on any of the collectors' websites and you can gauge a little bit the value on the collectors' secondary market. The quotations for some of the pieces that you've launched are scary in a way. You know, they've gone beyond what we thought. Are you surprised? I mean, how do you relate to that? How do you make sense of it to see a Roma Synergy blue, for example, at £35,000 on a collector's market?
So on one side, I'm happy. On the other side, I'm absolutely unhappy. You know, because, okay, I know that luxury is in rarity, but the right price, I think, and the right value, and it's what I clearly believed in. When you see the price of our products, we try to give more. We are talking about luxury products, clearly, but we are trying to give more perceived value and the real value than our competitors. This is by the level of decoration and by anything. It's clear if on the Roma Synergy, if I decided to go as far as Carrie is going, doing a lot of things by hands, this is not our story, you know. The price, I think we would have arrived to the same price than Carrie. So I don't want to look cheap, and it's absolutely not that, you know. But I think the value you have for your money is great with the entire Schwarz Etienne range. Now, talking about the other products, it's clear we are not known. So we start to be always more and more known.
Thank goodness for that, because with the amount of pieces that you can produce, obviously the limited production capacity, there is a balance between how much you want to be known, no?
Yes, so there is a limit because we want. I don't want to grow and to become, I don't know, a Breitling or a Tiger. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I think once we reach perhaps between 800 to 1,000 pieces per year, we will stop, and we are a little bit less than the half. You know, so this is already coming from where we came, because we started again in 2016. Yeah. So we are long brand, but short story, you know, a whole brand with a short story, short news story. Now, again, you will always have people who, because they want the product and perhaps because they missed it when the launch was done, they will be able to pay more. It's okay. Now, what I dislike is that people who are trying to make more money on something which has its own value. We are all humans on the planet, so we have that kind of people, you know, bargaining or playing at casino. It's the same, you know. We can also see that this market in the US is going down. The pre-owned market is going down in the US, but it's starting to come up in Switzerland. So, okay, there is place for anyone. But to me, a product has to be bought at the right price and possibly directly at the brand.
Yeah,
it's clear.
It's good to hear, and Johnny, how much this relates to what we have been trying to implement in the last 8 years, where we do understand the dynamics of the secondary market, but our mission is to give plenty of opportunities to our collectors to buy at the right time, at the right price, you know, to avoid disappointment on both sides, being left out, and at the same time also not being hyped up, which is something that we don't particularly enjoying seeing. Johnny, there is a question from our common friend Thomas, watches the words. If you want to pick up on it, if you can see it pinned on our comment.
Sure. Thank you, Thomas, for joining us again and for your message. Thomas asks, Mauro, do you see even a small market for pocket watches in the future?
So to tell you the truth, personally, I came from this market by my father, because my father was an antique dealer. So the best pieces, Minute Repeater, Jacquemart, Tourbillon Carousel, or that kind of things, are all now, I think, 98% are in private collection or in museums. So I was that lucky to be able to play, because I was between 5 to 15 years old when I used to play with that watches before to start to work at the bench. Now, so I don't see anyone wearing a pocket watch. So to have a market, it means that it needs to be useful. Now a market for a kind of collectors, yes, definitively will be, but then you will need to have the connection, the right people, and to find the collectors and to discover them clearly. But coming back on the pocket watches as before the wristwatch, I think it will be impossible, because it's not practical at all. And a second thing, a pocket watch is always up on your pocket, you know, stand up on your pocket. Abraham Le Breguet did the invention of the tourbillon in 1801 to avoid the gravity effect, because the watches were always up on the pocket. So your wrist now act like a tourbillon. So I think in terms of accuracy and so on, it won't be good again to come back to the pocket watch. After, it's a question of look. But now I think the wrists are there, and I think it will be really difficult to come back with a big production of pocket watches.
I kind of agree with you there. I think that there has to be a demand for it. It is what you define as super niche at this time, and where I think the pocket watch is something that evokes memories and is part of the historical lineage of horlogerie. Again, and I know that Carrie's daughter created a pocket watch, which was absolutely spectacular as well. But again, these things are pieces that would be,
museum
produced
pieces
in very small numbers for very serious connoisseur collectors who are completists. And so I do agree with you. I can't imagine a situation where I would invest a large amount in a pocket watch personally. But I know that Thomas is a great traditionalist. He is a lover of mechanical clocks and automata and so on. So I know that Thomas's passion lies in those sort of almost forgotten arts, so I know where you're coming from, Thomas.
It's very interesting to talk about the interactions between the past and the present. Of course, whatever is happening now in watchmaking is the consequence clearly of the history of watchmaking that has been written in the last 400 or 500 years. It's also interesting to talk about the future, Mauro. Nothing to do with Schwarz Etienne, or maybe it's something to do with Schwarz Etienne in the future, but for the first time, I'm actually wearing something that seems to be an integration of mechanics and smart technology. And my question, as I show you this, Mauro, Swiss brand from the designer of Czapek, actually, Geneve, but they've integrated a smartwatch with a rotor at the back. So instead of charging up your smartwatch with a wire, which is the most annoying thing I can think about when I think about a watch, there is an interesting integration between analog display of the time, counting your steps across the day, still being a kind of an automatic kind of mechanical hybrid watch. I show you this just to have your opinion on as a watchmaker yourself. What is your take on digital technologies, smart watches, and do you see any interactions in future between mechanics and smart? I mean, we call smart the mechanic technology actually between Johnny and I, but the so-called smart technology.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah.
I hope it's clear. The question is clear enough.
No, it's totally clear. It's totally clear. Personally, I'm not of this generation. I don't need to have one electronic device which tell me you have to work, you have to sleep, you have to go to pee, or you have to kiss your daughter and to make love to your wife. I don't need that. And we are going on that way,
I didn't see that function yet, but
it's there
yeah,
somewhere.
could be an idea.
So it could be a good idea
Yeah.
for a sequence, yeah. But again, there is place for anyone. There is place for anyone. To me, a luxury product, it's not a product you have to throw away within 2 years. The smart, everything which is electronic, we see with our phone, with our computers, with everything. The lifetime is 2, 3, if you are happy and lucky, 5 years. Okay, and then what you do? You put it on the wall and you wait that it takes value. The value won't be there, clearly. So to me, it's not luxury. I can understand that for health, for people who have health issues, to have that kind of aid could be really important. Now, if I need to walk, okay, I have the same on my phone. You have it on your pocket. When you walk, you have your steps. I'm not fanatic of being sorvegliato. How do we say being to a big order? Yeah. To be monitored by anyone. I'm big enough to do that. So the value to me of a smartwatch, okay, it's the accuracy before all. The accuracy is better, such as the quartz watches were better than the mechanical watches. Luxury will, on my side, will always be mechanical. Again, I love the advertising of Patek a long time ago, you know, you won't never be the real owner of your patent because it will go from generation to generation. The truth on my side is that now there are enough risks on that word and enough tastes to have a place for anyone, for everyone, you know.
Absolutely.
My dream, to tell you the truth, and I wanted to launch that, was to make a disconnected watch, meaning that if you press a button on your watch, all the electronic devices 2 meters around you were not functioning anymore.
I like that.
This
I
was
like
my
that.
idea.
I like that a lot.
That would need an electronic device in your watch to do that, though.
Yeah, okay, but just to have, you know, with your son, your daughter, and anyone, you know. So at my place, they are not eating with the phone on the side.
Sure,
it's
sure.
impossible. But sometimes, you know, you're in a restaurant and they start when they were younger. Clearly now they are more than 20, but they start to play. You know, you press the button and everything switch off. You know.
Yeah.
So this was my dream. You know, to be contre-courant, to be upside down against
against the flow.
What we are. Yeah, exactly.
We are. I was actually going to send you a message earlier, Pietro, about, and I was going to use the word analog, and I might send it to you later anyway. But I consider myself to be an old analog model, you know, and so I completely agree with you, Mauro, that you know, I think there is a place, definitely there is a place for a smartwatch, for something that when you're taking exercise, you want to know what your heart rate is and how many steps you've covered, what distance you've covered, even altitude. I go up a mountain here pretty regularly, and it'd be good to know that. It's not essential, but if you're working out, it's good to know that. But there are no other times when I feel I would have any requirement for a smartwatch. I am super connected with my computer, with my phone, with everything around me. I am easy to get in touch with. So I do not need a phone going off to tell me I've got a call coming in. And so wherever you are, you're in your car, in your home, you're outside, you're, as you say, in your restaurant, you're contactable. And I think that's enough. For me, technology is great, but too much technology, maybe not so great.
Danger.
Just one thing, you know, the difference between a phone and a watch. The phone is the extension of your brains, because again, you go on internet, you find anything, you know. If you find if you need un renseignement.
An information.
I like where you're going with this. I like where you're going
exactly.
with this.
You go on Google and you find it. The watch is the extension of who you are.
Your personality.
It's clearly different. So
Could
it's not a
agree more.
status, but if you buy a mechanical watch, if you wear a mechanical watch, it means that you have that sensibility.
It's we have a lot of collectors that wear, you know, a smartwatch on one hand and a mechanical watch on the other hand, because for functional reasons they need a smartwatch as a extension of their brain, and then for their heart, you know, for their own personality, they need, of course, to showcase it through a mechanical watch. So it's an endless but very fascinating and interesting conversation. And gentlemen, it's been an absolute pleasure to be with you once again. Thank you, Mauro, for helping us creating one of the best watches we've ever been involved with. The Schwarz Etienne Claret Voutilainen, the limited edition Roma Synergy Terracotta edition, 20 pieces. It's out there in the world. It's still, you know, it's not been hyped up, you know, in a crazy way. So it's actually available, which is a great news. Still a few available for the January batch, and a few more available for the summer batch. So go on the limited edition, go on monochrome, go on Scottish watches, and you know, get all the information that you need. From my side, thank you, Mauro, again, and congratulations on the launch, and congratulations, you know, for where you've taken Schwarz Etienne. Very long way, and very deservedly, Schwarz Etienne now is one of the names that we admire the most, and I'm sure Johnny will share my thoughts
Definitely.
on this one. And thank you,
Thank
Johnny,
you
as
so
well.
much. Thank you so much, Pietro, and so lovely to collaborate with you. And it won't be the last time, sure, for sure.
Perfect. We take that as a promise. And Johnny, I will see you next week for the next lives. And Mauro, thanks a lot once again.